There's three things that I really like about him this season. And the first one is Atlanta averaged about 145 tight end targets per season under Arthur Smith. We get a little bit later in the draft, and there's also some tight ends that I want to talk about too that I'm pretty excited about for fantasy football this season, and kind of like my late round dart throw guys. And the first one's Pat Freiermuth. So if you look at Pat Freiermuth, I tweeted about this the other day. If you look at Pat Freiermuth, there's three things that I really like about him this season. And the first one is Atlanta averaged about 145 tight end targets per season under Arthur Smith. Jonnu, Kyle Pitts, etc. Big time target volumes there for a tight end. That's the plus. The second part is, as much as we don't want to admit it, it's improved QB play. I mean, Russell Wilson, I know at this stage in his career, people aren't excited about him, but he was actually not terrible last year. If you look at, his yards per target attempt weren't great. It was like high sixes, but he's a crazy touchdown thrower. So he throws a lot of touchdowns. He had 26 last year, I think, in 15 games. And so that's huge. So I think the improved QB play of what you had last year from the Steelers is going to be a factor. And then the other thing is Deontay Johnson is gone. So behind George Pickens, I know we have Wilson, you got Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin. But to be honest with you, I truly believe that if you look at the situation, Pat Freiermuth is going to emerge as the second option. And Arthur Smith's offense has clearly shown they're going to use a tight end. So last season, Jerry Jeudy, I know wasn't great for fantasy football, but remember, we're talking tight end. So the number two option for Russell Wilson last year averaged 8.9 PPR points per game. For wide receivers, that's terrible. For tight ends, that's borderline tight end one seasons right there. That's a borderline tight end one. So I think Pat Freiermuth has a bounce back year. I think he plays very well. I moved him up pretty significantly, 19 spots from 125 to 106. I have him 29 spots higher than ADP. So Pat Freiermuth is one of the late round tight end guys I'm going to be taking a shot at this season, especially if I don't get guys like Andrews, Kincaid, all those guys, Laporta at a good spot in the early rounds, maybe 3, 4, and 5. All right, let's jump down to the next one. It's Hunter Henry. I told you, things are getting sexy around here, by the way. I know we're all excited here about the deep tight end names, but I just recently did a bunch of tight end and quarterback stuff to update the top 150. And so I think that, you're going to see a couple more quarterback and tight ends here, but let's just get through this one too. So Hunter Henry, really, when you look at the situation for the New England Patriots, is that there's a lot of uncertainty at wide receiver. They drafted some young guys in Polk. They got Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne's coming off a serious injury. We also have the change in coordinator from Van Pelt. And I almost said Alex Van. It's Alex Van Pelt. I don't think what Van Pelt I'm thinking about. Scott Van Pelt, that's what it is from Sports Center. But Van Pelt comes in, and Jacoby Brissett comes in. And I know Drake May is the future, but there's a very good chance that Jacoby Brissett starts the year, at least for the first quarter to first half, as the starter. And so if you look at 2022, before the Deshaun Watson became the starter, Jacoby Brissett played 12 games that season, or 11 or 12 games that year. And David Njoku finished that season as a top 10 tight end. So you could even see a similar situation this season where Jacoby Brissett starts probably the first 8 to 10 games. And if the Patriots aren't doing well, they want to throw in May, they might do that. But still, in a situation, by the way, Deshaun Watson was horrible in 2022 throwing the football. It was not pretty. But Njoku still was a top 10 tight end. So I actually had Henry not ranked. I moved him to tight end 13 in my top 150, 127 overall. And I think because of the uncertainty at receiver, there's a chance that this guy is going to get consistent targets. The quarterback, Jacoby Brissett's proven. And that's why I'm at 52 spots higher than ADP. I think he's one of my favorite late round guys because the targets will be there, especially if none of those young receivers really emerge in training camp. So we'll keep an eye on that this offseason. I saved the best for last, of course. Tyler Conklin, because I know everybody here just loves talking deep sleeper tight ends, and I figured let's do it. When you're looking at Tyler Conklin over the last 3 seasons, he's had 87 targets in 3 straight years. And last season, he was only one of 14 tight ends to have over 80 targets. And so now he gets a major QB upgrade to Aaron Rodgers. And if you look at the Nathaniel Hackett seasons, with Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay. They averaged about 100 targets to the tight ends per year. And of course, Robert Tonyan in the 2020 had a very good season as the tight end 3 overall. A lot of that has to do with touchdowns. But when you're looking at the Jets landscape, what really stands out to me is that behind Garrett Wilson, there isn't one guy that you think right now today is going to be the number 2 unquestioned. There's a lot of Mike Williams. You have Alan Lazard. You have the rookie Corley coming in. You know, you have Xavier Gibson. Nobody right now, based on Mike Williams not being available, is truly the number 2 yet. And so if you just give Tyler Conklin another 87 targets, and there really isn't a second wide receiver yet and of course, training camp and preseason, these things can change them, of course. But right now today, like if I'm looking at a guy like Tyler Conklin who can get close to 90 targets, which is close to, you know, top 12 amongst tight ends with Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I think there's a chance where this guy can be a borderline tight end 1. So I have him at tight end 16. I didn't have him ranked previously, but I put him at 137 for now in the top 150. That's all we got today. This is some of the rankings updates, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. This was really good. This is like kind of the latest updates. And make sure you go to razzball.com, click on the NFL tab, or just go straight to football.razzball.com and go check out the top 150 PPR rankings. Also go check out all the great positional rankings we have for quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends. And by the way, make sure you jump over to the fantasy football data tab. By the way, we have the slot versus wide tool coming out, but we have 2023 data in there right now. If you don't know what the slot versus wide tool is, it is fantastic. It tells you where the fantasy points are allowed by defense in the slot versus out wide. We're going to have more detailed splits, home and road, wins and losses. These are going to be great tools to help you win your fantasy leagues. And by the way, Razzball 6 is finally kicked off. If you haven't signed up yet, go to football.razzball.com and click on the signups tab, and you'll be able to sign up for the Razzball 6. It's a lot of fun. It's free. You get to compete against other big names in the industry. It's open for everyone. And finally, go check out the Dynasty tab. We have a Dynasty 2024 tab. We have Dynasty Trade Chart, by the way. We have rated over 400 players and picks. Dynasty Trade Chart. Go check it out. Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. We have the Dynasty Rookie Rankings, and we also have a Dynasty Top 200. So redraft, if you're doing a startup, if you're already in a league, or if you need rookie rankings, we have it all on razzball.com. Once again, thank you for joining. Make sure you subscribe to the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. Make sure you jump over to IG and TikTok. And, of course, make sure you go over to razzball.com. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm Bobby Lamarco. Go follow me at Bobby Lamarco on Twitter. I'm out of here, folks.